Hi ladies, Jaki Sabourin here. Welcome, welcome. Today I want to talk to you about 4 signs that he's stringing you along. This is something I spoke about recently, but I really wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper. And so I wanted to run this training again because this happens a lot to you ladies out there, and you're not recognizing when you're being strung along. And so let's shine some light on this topic so that you can free yourself from any kind of these situations that are really, really disempowering. And they're all about boundaries and how to, see the signs right away so that you can avoid getting into relationships with men that have no intention of committing to you. And so, hi, Christine. Nice to see you're here. Hi, Terry. And so I want to talk about 4 signs he's stringing you along. So I'm going to jump right into it because there's some obvious signs and not so obvious ones. And so the first one is a big one. So if you've been seeing a man and you haven't been to his home and you've been dating him, so I'm going to start off with ladies that are dating men, and then I'm going to talk about the women that are single. So a big red flag is when you're dating a man and he hasn't shared a part of his life with you. So this is something you really want to pay attention to in the very beginning of your relationship so this does not happen to you, because it's happened to several women that I've talked to lately, and there were signs all along, but they didn't want to rock the boat. They didn't want to, they're afraid to say anything because they don't want to lose a relationship. But when you're afraid to say anything in a relationship, you're avoiding intimacy. When you avoid intimacy, you really don't have a relationship, because relationships are all about intimacy. So intimacy really meaning that you aren't afraid to show up more courageously, to communicate what your needs are and why you need them to the man you're with, so that he can also reciprocate and you guys can meet each other's needs. Now, if you're not having a relationship where it's based on truth and honesty and you're wanting to meet each other's needs, you really don't have a relationship. And so, whoops, I'm going to get more comfortable here. And so the first thing that you want to look for is if he's reciprocating in terms of doing things at his house. So sometimes you'll date a man you've never been to his house, but he's showing up, he's doing a lot of things for you. He's taking you to dinner, and maybe you're getting together on the weekends at your house. This is what's happening to a woman that I was recently speaking with, and everything seems to be going great. I mean, you guys are having a great time together. Months go by, but you haven't been to his house and you haven't met anybody in his family, but he knows your family. So I would say that's a big red flag. And here's why: because why would he be withholding a very important part of his life, his home or whatever it is, and not sharing that with you? So I would definitely be asking about it. And I would never let things go to 4 months, when you should be asking within the first couple of weeks, like, oh, I live here, getting together, going out. After 3 or 4 or 5 dates, you can invite him to your home, make him dinner. That's a really great way to reciprocate and thank him for all the lovely meals he's provided for you. Now, in that process, he's going to invite you to his house. And so maybe on your way somewhere, you can stop there and have a glass of wine, then you guys move to the restaurant. But if you're not going over to his home and you're not meeting the people in his family, and he's compartmentalizing the relationship, then that tells you that he's stringing you along. He's getting a lot of the benefits out of the relationship, but doesn't have to make any real lasting commitment. And you're having such a great time, like he's taking you to dinner, he may be buying you little gifts, he's telling you how much he cares about you, and he's showing up. So you're like, wow, this could lead to something. I don't want to rock the boat. But there's a glaring piece that's missing, and that's the piece like, why haven't I met anybody in his family? Why haven't I been to his house after 4 months? Oh my gosh, there's something going on. So to make sure that this doesn't happen to you, I want you to vet men more carefully. And I hope men are watching this, men, because we are going to be vetting you more carefully. So what I mean by that is go in and to do background checks on men. And, I recommend this to all my clients, and I think men should do it on women too. You can even run a background check on yourself to see what somebody can find out. So there's nothing wrong with this. At this day and age, when we're meeting men online, it's totally okay to do. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just using wisdom. And so what you're going to find is maybe some issues around finances, which I don't think is a big deal because a lot of people can go through financial upsets and recover for them. That's what makes us all even stronger when we go through a hard time. So I wouldn't focus as much on a foreclosure or bankruptcy, but I would focus more on any criminal activity and divorces. See, the thing is, what I think that's going on with this woman is that he's legally still married to his first wife. They're probably separated, have been for years, but they don't want to get a divorce because of the money. A very common scenario on why men string women along. They don't want to divorce legally on paper their wife because they have to split up their assets. So the wife and the husband have agreed to move on with their lives, but they're going to hang on to the assets. And then you come along and you're amazing and he thinks you're great, but he's got this little problem. He's still legally married to her. And so it's less about dating separated men, more about the fact that he really can't be with you in the way you want to, and he's stringing you along because he's getting all of the benefits. You're not getting anything. You have nothing to gain from being with him except superficial things in the moment. And so it's so important to ask questions up front about be curious. So the key is to come from curiosity, not from fear, but from love. When you come from curiosity, you really are coming from love. And you're really curious. You really do want to know, because why wouldn't you want to know those things? So when you hold back and you walk around on eggshells, you're actually teaching a man how to treat you. You're saying to him, it's okay that you're not being intimate with me because I don't deserve intimacy. It's okay that you're not being forthright with me because I don't feel like I deserve to be someone to be forthright with me. So the way we show up in the beginning is we're teaching them how we want to be treated. And that's why it's so important to ask questions, because as soon as there's something that you're not sure about, instead of coming from fear and being like, oh my gosh, he might dump me, you come from curiosity. So maybe you're getting dumped because it's the way you're saying it. That's a big part of this conversation. And so if a man is, for example, let's move on to another sign. He's only available during the week, not available on the weekends. That's a sign that he's got something else going on. Now, we don't know what it is, so let's not make assumptions. What you want to do is just ask questions and ask them right away. See, I'm just curious as to what you spend your time on the weekends doing. You know, I have actually this weekend free and I would love to see you. And so what do you have going? And then he says, well, I'm busy. Well, I'm working. And he's saying, well, tell me about your work that's keeping you so busy. I would love to hear about it. And really come from a place from being sincere. Maybe he does need to work weekends because he's trying to pay off a mortgage on a home, or maybe he's paying his college tuition for his kids. So don't think the worst, but definitely ask the question, right? Because that situation begs for an answer. It's like you're dying to know. And through that not knowing, you start to get frustrated and you start to become a little desperate. And maybe you behave extra nice so that he sees your value. Like, I'll be really good, and then he'll see how amazing I am, and then he'll love me even more, and then he'll tell me the truth. Well, that thinking's got to go. That's how children think, and we're grown women. And so you don't want to tolerate that behavior. If you allow it, you're enabling the behavior, and it's going to keep going. And then it is going to result in heartbreak for you. And so I want to say hi to a couple of ladies that are coming on the call. Ruthie, hi, Abby. Hi, Paula. Hi, Laura. Hi, Leslie. Nice to see you here. So glad you're here. Hi, Susie. So nice to see you. And any other ladies that have come on that I didn't see you. Christine, welcome. Okay. And so men stringing you along. And so why do men do that? Let's talk about this. I'm collecting my thoughts here. Men do it for a variety of reasons. And I'm just going to go straight to the biggest one that I see. And it's in men's favor, because they haven't seen a woman that has come across their path that they're inspired to give up their single life. I mean, let's just look at it as a real positive thing. Men are stringing women along, not really necessarily intentionally, but because they're having a good time. Women are more than happy to create such an amazing experience for a man, because we all want to be in a relationship. So you're just being so amazing up front, but then you're not laying down any boundaries. You're not really clear on what you want, and you're afraid to speak your truth and express yourself. And men lose respect respect for you. And so that's why they move on to the next woman. They're like, you're great, but you don't really know who you are. You're kind of a pushover. You're a little bit of a doormat. You don't speak up. You're letting me get away with everything, and I don't respect you. So I'll find another woman that will. And so in a way, you're shooting yourself in the foot by even tolerating this. But it's not that you want to be hard on a man, but from the very beginning, he needs to know that he's dealing with a high quality woman, and that's what you are. And you're not going to even spend any time with a man who doesn't really get that from the beginning. So your self-worth and your value is a perception that you have to create. You have to create that perception for a man so that he buys into it. He sees, wow, if I don't treat her right, she's going to be gone. And that's exactly the impression he needs to get from you. But it doesn't need to come from a place of threatening or a place of fear. So that would be fear, like you know, if you don't treat me right, I'm out of here. That's coming from fear. That's actually coming from an insecurity, because you're desperate to the point where you're actually making these veiled threats you don't even mean to carry it. You don't have any intention of carrying it out. And here's the problem with that. If you say something like that to a man and then you don't carry it out, he's absolutely never going to see you as a partner, because he already knows that he can get away with it. So you might ask him 5 times, like, you know, what do you do on the weekends? What do you do on the weekends? What do you do on the weekends? But after the first time and you didn't get the answer you wanted and you asked him again, he already has lost respect for you, because he sees that you're not going to do anything about it. You're not going to call him on it. And you're not going to put yourself in a place where you feel you really deserve to know that. And actually, if you're seeing a guy, you really do deserve to know what he's doing on the weekends, because for the level of intimacy that you want with a man, which is amazing intimacy, which intimacy means that it's safe to show a man who you are, and it's safe for him to show you who he is, all of his flaws, his shortcomings. It's safe because you've made it safe, because you've set the relationship up in a way, created this space of love for him where he feels safe to tell you things about himself, where you're not going to judge him and you're not going to put him down, and you're not going to use those things later and bring them back up in conversation. And so a lot of women don't know how to do that. And so when a man might tell a woman something, she might make a judgment about it and then close that opportunity for intimacy. And so, is any of this making sense, ladies? I hope this is helpful. So I'm going to get to that question, Ruthie, in a minute. And so another sign that he's stringing you along is by making a lot of promises but never acting on them. So there's a lot of talk that they can do, like, oh, someday I want to take you here, or that dress would look great on you, or we should do this, or I can't wait for my children to meet you. Maybe we should do that for the holidays. I mean, men could say everything we want to hear, and it's so good, and it sounds so true and real that we believe them, and then we want to hang in there, right? We want to hang in there. And so, like, how long do we hang in there before any of this starts to become reality for you? And so I would say that it's incremental. Okay, you start dating, and he says he's going to pick you up. He does. You guys go out, you start dating, and then you naturally grow closer together. This is if you're wanting a committed relationship that leads to marriage or long-term companionship. And right away, a man already knows if he's going to want to spend more time with you or not. So fleshing him out in the very beginning is the safest thing for you, so that you don't invest too much time. And so if he's not being consistent right up front and he's not following through with the things he says, you can ask him about it. You can just say, you know, you mentioned getting together and driving up to the coast and staying at Big Sur. I'm free this weekend. Let's do that. Just assuming that he's going to do it. And if he starts making excuses, then that's when you really know that he's starting to string you along, and he never takes you to that place. So then that's why you want to date more than one man at a time, until one man takes the lead and it really is following through on what he says. The minute a man doesn't do what he says he's going to do, I would definitely start to get really curious about it. And so you can approach your conversations with these men like that. And the more you do it, the more empowered you'll feel and the better you'll get at it. And so never be afraid to risk a relationship by just simply asking a question. If you're afraid to ask a question that you feel is valid, then that tells me something. That tells me that your relationship is already on rocky grounds, because you don't feel safe enough to ask questions. You feel like he might break up with you. That's the sign that the relationship wasn't set up in the right way from the beginning. And so being curious, so saying things like, I'm just curious, I'm just wondering. So coming from that place, using that tone of you are really curious. You just want to know. You're not going to punish him with the truth, but you definitely deserve an answer. So that's really your attitude, is like, I'm just really curious about, I didn't hear from you for a couple of days. Where were you? What was going on where you couldn't reach out to me? And see what he says. Maybe he'll say he'd come up with some great excuse that you'll believe. But you definitely need to ask those questions. You need to ask him sooner than later, so that he recognizes that you're a high value woman, that you value your time, and that you're serious about the contribution that you really do bring to a relationship, which is a lot. And it's not a monetary contribution. It's your self-worth. It's your feminine energy. It's your beauty. It's your wisdom. It's your ability to have these kind of conversations. Men want to have an intimate conversation with you. Men want and long very much for intimacy. It's up to you to create that intimacy. If you would learn to go first and create this intimacy, a man will respond to you. But they're used to women being suspicious, making accusations, becoming defensive, looking jealous, or desperate. And that's why men withdraw, men pull back, because they're like, oh, that's such an uncomfortable energy to deal with to begin with. They don't even know how to handle that. So they just keep moving through the women, and in a way, we're contributing to this bad behavior, right? And so, believe me, a man only wants to be single until he finds the woman that he feels he can call his wife and that he respects. And yes, some men are playing the field because maybe they just got divorced or whatever, but I do believe that everyone wants to have a soulmate. I think we all are destined for that, and I think that men especially do not like to be alone, and they're just in between. And I like to say, I'm just in, if they're just in between finding that right woman. And so another sign that he's stringing you along, and I'm glad that there's some questions, because I'm going to answer those. If he doesn't answer his phone and it goes straight to voicemail, especially over a couple of day period, that means there's something up. I mean, think about it. If you don't answer your phone, it goes to voicemail. I mean, when's the last time you didn't answer your phone outside of the fact that you're on a date? Trust your instincts. All of these things are signs that he's stringing you along. Even if he starts telling you that he wants to be exclusive, or he really loves you and he's into you, but his actions don't match his word, he's stringing you along. I had a client that I started working with that he had been telling her he's going to get a divorce, going to get a divorce, going to get a divorce. Gave her an engagement ring, a beautiful one, but he hasn't gotten divorced. It's 4 years later. So what does she do? She really believed him because he gave her this beautiful engagement ring. So that's a tough one, right? But at 4 years, I would say cut your losses, give the ring back, and get your life back, because you've disempowered yourself in that process. Basically, all you have is a piece of jewelry. It's just a rock. It's nothing. It's nothing compared to the life of a man, a life of happiness, of fulfillment, of travel, of sharing humor, of someone to witness your life. It's nothing. Who cares about all this stuff? All the things are just that. They're things. You want more than things. You want a real relationship. You want a genuine connection with the man. And anything less than that is you're really settling. So what you really want right now aren't things. They're connection, their fulfillment, their communication. Those are the things that are lasting. Those are the things that you want to spend your life with someone doing, not necessarily acquiring more assets, and because we all know that money buys a lot of nice things, but it doesn't buy happiness. And so let me answer some of the questions that are coming up. What about a guy that emails and wants to know more about you, then doesn't answer your email reply? And 2 days passed. Do I come out and ask what happened to you? No, absolutely not. So here, the thing with online is it does move really fast, or it moves at a snail's pace. But either way, you can't control that. It's out of your control. The only thing you can control is you. So you have to learn to date with more detachment, being detached from an outcome. The minute you turn away from looking at that email, he's going to reach out to you. So we can't know if he's on a trip, if he's seen someone else, if he found somebody else and he's now dating her. I mean, we just don't get to know what's on the other side of it. So what you do have control over is how you feel and not attaching to an outcome. The most important thing in deliberate dating is to stay detached but involved. So you're involved in your process of wanting to attract your soulmate. You're involved in maintaining your high standards. You're involved in responsible communication, but you're not attached to the outcome. Because as soon as you attach to that outcome, it takes you out of the moment and you start to obsess on the outcome. And when you're over here obsessing, like looking over here at the outcome that you really want, you're clinging to that, you're not in the present, you're not over here anymore. And you might meet a guy when you're over here. So you plant all these seeds, you toss out all these emails, and 2 days pass, move on. If you're not attached to an outcome, then it doesn't really matter if you hear from him or not, because the one that is interested in you, he will get back to you. So make sure you send out more than one email. I would send out 10 emails at a time if you're online, 10. Send 10 notes, questions, and comments out so that you get one date by the weekend. That's the numbers game that you have to play online. But one of those guys is gonna pick up on it, he's gonna respond to you, and you can get on a date with him. So I would not even respond to his unless he circles back around, and then don't say anything. Just say, hey, nice to hear from you. Because it's like at a bar. Say you're at a bar and you're talking, so I'll give you the metaphor, and you're having a nice conversation and you like him and you think, ooh, maybe this is something. And then his friend comes over and they start talking. What do? There's not much you can do, right? You can't say, excuse me, I was talking to him. You move on. You detach. You were never attached anyways. It's just a stranger. So you have to have that same kind of mentality when you're online, not attaching to the end results, not attaching to a storyline that he was for you. He was the one. You felt something. You don't feel anything. You don't even know him. So I hope that helps. You really have to be detached involvement. It's the law of detachment. It's so powerful. And it keeps you from suffering. It's a self-protection mechanism. It really is. Plus, you don't really know what's going to happen. That's the exciting part of dating. One date can be your last date. And so I'm curious, going on to the next question, curious how, from the perspective of the other, is a mirror. What does stringing a woman along means about the woman herself and her relationship to her worth from a self-growth and accountability perspective? Great question, Angela. I'm just reading it over. Yeah. So what does it mean when we're being strung along? What does it mean for us when we're allowing that to happen? I'll tell you what it means. It means that you're ignoring your inner urgings. You're not listening to your intuition. You are doubting yourself. You don't feel like you have some unconscious beliefs that might not meet anybody better. You don't feel you're worthy, you don't feel good enough, you're not lovable. All of these unconscious beliefs are getting triggered. So he's pressing the boundaries, he's not calling you back, and you're not doing anything because in that not calling back, it's triggering all of your emotional blocks, like not good enough, not worthy, unlovable, been left, been single for 8 years, all of these beliefs that we're identifying by get gonged, so to speak. So when he doesn't call you back, those beliefs start to surface, and they surface and they make you feel like it's real, like I need to give him a chance, right? Because you don't want to feel not worthy, not lovable, not good enough. It doesn't feel good to let those beliefs surface. You can get a good look at them. But the only way to release those beliefs is to walk through them, is to actually look at them for what they are and question your thinking. You have some incorrect thinking. So what he's seeing, though, is he's seeing that he's going to have his way with you, that he can get away with that, and you're allowing that treatment. And so he sees a woman of low self-worth and low self-esteem, because weak boundaries equals weak self-esteem. So he sees a woman who has weak boundaries, and he's going to prey on you. Now, maybe he's not doing it intentionally. Maybe he's always treated women this way because he attracts women that have weak boundaries, and so he gets to get his way. And a lot of women have gone along with that. But I'm here to tell you that it's extremely dysfunctional, and it's not setting yourself up for a healthy relationship. And so that's the mirror. That's what they're seeing. And you know what? That's why they move on, because unconsciously, even without a man thinking about it, he registers you as less than him. Without him even like consciously sitting there making notes about it, he just doesn't see you as somebody he could spend his life with, because he sees the way that you're letting him treat you. So it's not even conscious. They really pick up on this. They have a radar for it, because men are looking for the best woman. right? And you're looking for the best man. And so this is on their radar and it's unconscious. So when you allow a man to treat you that way, you're saying, it's okay. I'll wait at home for you while you go out and do whatever you want. That's okay with me. And they actually go, oh, I don't really want a woman that does that. I want a woman that calls me on my stuff. Because you know why? You make a man a better man. When you talk to your man about what he's doing that's not okay, you make him a better person. And the truth is that why are we not being honest with these men that we feel have a potential to be a real life partner for us? What is it in you that you don't have the courage to be honest with your lover? I mean, if I can't tell Michael the truth about what I feel he's doing, if he's doing something, then I'm not really a friend to him. You know, I'm not really being his friend. I'm being a fake. Because if my husband is doing something that I don't like or that I feel could maybe be improved, I owe it to him as his wife to tell him that. But I need to do it in a way that it doesn't hurt him and doesn't attack him. But if he's doing something, I need to say, honey, you know, can we talk about this? I really see this happening, and I don't really, you know, I feel that this is in the long run not really going to be a good thing for you, and I just want to know if you see it too. So you're not even coming from a place about you, you're coming from a place that it's about him, and you care about him, and you want to bring it to his awareness, because maybe he's not aware of it. So you really have to show up with a higher level of emotional honesty. And you do that by working on yourself, by building up internally your ability to be emotionally honest. And you can only be emotionally honest with a man to the degree that you're emotionally honest with yourself. So when you do all of that work on becoming more emotionally intimate with yourself, you clear out all that incorrect thinking about you're not good enough, you're not worthy. You clear it all out. Once that's cleared out, you really can be transparent and vulnerable be for a man, because you have nothing to hide, because you are worthy. You know that. So you can drop your guard and be real, and you can risk him breaking up with you because you'd rather be with somebody who is willing to have those honest, heartfelt, emotional conversations than somebody who isn't. Because somebody who's not willing to go there with you is not worthy of a relationship with you. And I would not want to be in a relationship. I mean, I already had that in my first marriage. Who wants to do that again, right? Who wants to repeat that pattern? And so he's stringing you along because you're letting him, I would say. And all of my teaching that I do is all about women as women taking responsibility for ourselves first. Because when we do that, then we have so much power. We get our power back. We become empowered. And that's what makes you stand out from other women. I mean, here in California, there's so many beautiful women, and some of you watching this live in California, and you know, there's beautiful women everywhere. And what makes you going to make you stand out, even if you're the most beautiful woman in the world from all those other women, is your ability to speak in a way that a man can understand, to make a man feel understood, and also to demonstrate a level of maturity that is so fascinating to a man and so enticing, and the grace and the compassion, empathy that you can show with clear boundaries for a man. He's going to choose you over the most beautiful woman in the world because you get him, and you know how to have those conversations. Because believe me, I know that we are all here on this planet because we want some fulfillment out of life. Men want that too. It's not just women. We want more. We want our life to have meaning beyond being in a relationship. So if you don't stand for something now, you're going to fall for everything later. And so this is a call to action, ladies. I want you to look at my program, because these are the skill set that I teach that you need so that you can recognize the signs if he's stringing you along. Okay. And I know I've been talking about my program ceaselessly, right? Over and over and over, because I really want you to hear me, because of course I want to work with you because I want to see you successful. I want you to not only be my next success story, but it's way beyond that. I want you to be in a happy, fulfilling relationship like me. I want you to feel powerful like I feel. I want you to feel empowered. I want your relationships with your family to be harmonious. I want your relationships in your community to be harmonious, because when you have love in your life, the whole world benefits. And so this is not just about you. It's about everybody around you, and your children will respect you. And I know a lot of you that have children are wishing, God, I wish mom would just get into a great relationship, because they don't want to see you alone. There's so many reasons why to do the work, to improve yourself, to do self-development, self-improvement, so that you can have the relationship that you really want. So you create those relationships. Those relationships are not just out there and they're going to plop into your lap. They're created. You're the creator. You co-create them with men. But if you don't have the skill set and the tools right up front to even begin that process, it's a trial and error long haul, and it doesn't end well. I'm going to just be really frank. It doesn't. And you know how I know that? Because I was in that trial and error for 8 years. It didn't end well for me. I met a lot of great guys, but I didn't have the skill set that I have now. And that's what ended up landing my big fish, Michael, is because I had that ability to create that space and inspire him to want to be more intimate, and even lead the way a little bit in how intimacy, what intimacy really is, by me being intimate first, by willing to stand for one thing and not fall for anything else. And he knew that about me. And when a man knows that about you, he will not let you go, because he knows that you will walk, and he doesn't want to risk losing you. That's where you want to get a man, where he doesn't want to risk losing you. So he doesn't want to risk any bad behavior, because he knows that you have value and you have boundaries, and you will act on those instantly, and you will not give him a second chance, because he knows it, especially in things that are really big grievances. And so there was a question on when, how do you give a man a second chance? And somebody sent me an email earlier, and I wish I could remember it. Let me go back to these questions here. I hope I answered your question, Angela. Did I? I hope so. I feel like I did, but if I didn't, say, you can post a comment. You can say yes or no. You can tell me the truth. I can handle it. Truth is actually great, because if I didn't answer your question, then I want to get it right, so that you can benefit from this. Men seem interested until I communicate that I would like to wait for physical intimacy until we are in a committed relationship. Am I killing the vibe by communicating that? Yes and no. And hi, Doreen. So yes, you're killing it by the way you're doing it. I wouldn't say you're killing it. I say it's the way that you're asking for that. And so you have to define a committed relationship. So committed relationship is being exclusive. That is a committed relationship. When you get into an exclusive relationship, you're getting into that relationship with the intention and understanding on both parties that you're in it because you have the same goals in mind for your future. So you've had those discussions. Like for example, when I was talking with Michael, we were on the phone in the first conversation. So what are you looking for? How's it going online? And what is it you're looking for? And he said, well, I'm looking for a committed relationship. So he said that. It was on his profile. And all men will say that. Even if they're not looking for it, they'll say it. And I said, great. Yeah, me too. I was married for blank, blank, and here's my deal. And this is what I'm looking for. So from that place, I agreed to go out with him because at least we had a starting point. Now, I didn't know if he's going to be in a committed relationship with me and vice versa, but we started off that way. Now, the way that I showed up on that first date and everything I did demonstrated that I was definitely not interested in a casual relationship. And so the things that I would say, the things that I would do, and the things that I think were all congruent. What I said to Michael and how I behaved, my behavior, all demonstrated a woman that was clear on she was going to get what she wanted, whether it was with him or not. And he knew that. So showing up in a way that you're congruent, you're kind, but you're clear. And you have your boundaries. So when it comes to that point where you want to be physically intimate and you don't have a ring on your finger, but I really believe, I'm really a big believer in exploring a sexual relationship with a man who's demonstrated that he's treating you well, he's saying all the things, you guys are, making plans for the future. I feel like it's important to then take that next step to see if that's a compatibility with the intention that you're in it because you're building something for the future. So I can't tell you when your timeline is for that. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a month. I think at least a month, but you you're going to have to take those risks. Relationships require that you take emotional risks. And if you have a foundation built inside, if you feel safe inside, no matter what happens to that, after you take that exploration, you try the sexual piece, after the other pieces are in place and it's not a fit, you are safe inside because you have the tools, emotionally speaking, to move on without being hurt. Why should that hurt you? It'd be like, okay, we explored it. It's not a fit. And I'm glad I know now so I can go find somebody that it is a fit with. That, I think, is the most highly functional thing you can do. Holding a man out for sex is a little old-fashioned, in my opinion, because we're sexual beings. Why I'm saying that is because we are sexual beings. Sex is good for us, and to withhold sex is not a very healthy thing to do to yourself, especially if you're in love and you're professing a future together. You want to take a risk and explore if that's a total package, and then a beautiful thing can happen. And then if it's not a package, maybe it doesn't fit for you. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, and you don't enjoy it, you want to move on. You can quickly do exercises that I teach in my program to clear the energy and get back in balance, release him so another man can come in, right? I mean, I'm going to say right now, I wasn't a virgin when I met my husband. So I'm being really transparent with you. I wasn't, right? I've had other lovers. I was married before I had 2 kids. And so, but how do I have my self-worth intact after exploring, after I was divorced? Because I have a value system and I give myself permission to have those experiences because I grew from them and I feel very good about myself and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. So it's really a belief system that I have. And so just looking at your beliefs around having physical intimacy, making sure you're going into it with your eyes wide open and giving yourself permission to explore that part of your relationship with him to see if it's a fit for the long haul, because a lot of times it might not be, and you'll be really glad that you did so that you can move on and find somebody that is a fit. And so that's just my feelings on that. You could, and then the way you do that, the way you want to put him off is just to say, and I've demonstrated this before, so I'm going to demonstrate it. I really like to make sure it's a really intimate moment when you're letting a man know that you're going to put the brakes on sexually. And you just can put your hand up behind his neck and look at him and pull him really close, and you've got your hand on his chest, so you're really intimate and you've got him right there, and you're just like, you're just loving him up, and you're just letting him know, baby, I would love to go there with you. I think about you day and night, but I am not ready to do that. And so I would love it more than anything if you can be patient with me and wait until I'm ready, because I think about it all the time and I'm just not there yet. And smile at him. And then he's going to wait for you until you are ready. And if he doesn't, then there's your sign right there. In fact, it's a great test to do to a man to see if he is willing to respect your boundaries and wait until you're ready. Men don't need sex that bad. They can masturbate. So I'm being really, I'm being blunt for a reason, but men don't need to have sex constantly. Okay. That's an immature man. That's a boyish behavior. That's what boys do. Boys need constant sex and attention when they're younger, but when they're more mature, they can sow the seed of germination and forego the instant gratification. So if a man is not willing to forego instant gratification, he's not your guy. Because the law of germination is you plant a seed and you watch it grow. And when it grows into something and you're comfortable and you feel safe that he's authentic, then you can explore the next level. And that's when I recommend to do that. And so, yeah, so don't kill the vibe by how you say it, but definitely say it so you can test him to see if he's willing to be patient with you and to respect your boundaries. Because why would a man want to have sex with you before you're ready? That's like interesting, right? You want to think about that. So you could even say, let me get this straight. You want me to sleep with you before I'm ready, because that'll be good for you, but it's not going to be good for me. And so you're going to benefit, but I'm not going to. I'm sorry. So how do I win in that scenario? You know what I mean? How do I win? So you can even talk to him like that, because I have a smile on my face when I'm saying it. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's like a one-way street that I don't want to be on, because it's a head-in collision and I'm the one who's getting run over. And so you lighten it up, have fun with those conversations, tease him a little bit, say, you're a man, you're not a boy. I think you can take care of yourself until I'm ready. You can say things like that and really flesh him out. And knowing that you're ready to walk if he doesn't if he doesn't wait for you, because you're not going to have a relationship sexually with a man until you're ready. And any man that's pressuring you to do that is interested in just one thing, having sex with you. And so now you have your answer. Now you can move on. And I'm telling you, the value of doing this is that you become so clear internally that clarity, that internal clarity, that compass is pointing due north. That's where you want to be. You always want to be very clear on what you want and what you will, you're willing to do and won't do, because if you vacillate, it's in that vacillation that you're causing yourself a lot of confusion, a lot of heartache, and it's taking much longer than it should, because let's go back to the original part, because you have all these fears, doubts, and insecurities about your worth, your value, not feeling lovable, that you haven't done the work around to release. And until you do, you can't fully power up, because you're leaking energy in those places. And that's the work that I do in my program, is to help you power up, to help you show up as a quality woman, because you actually believe it. Not because I'm just telling you you are and you say you are. Intellectually, you know that you are. But internally, there's a little voice inside of you that says you're not. And that voice gets really loud, especially when you've been alone for a long time. And that's why you need support and accountability and structure for somebody who has more perspective than you do. And that's what I bring. I bring perspective, ladies. I have been there, but I also, more importantly, I'm over here and I can see what's happening. So I can be over here going, nope, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Do this, do this, do this. Pretty soon you can trust that I'm going to pull you over to where I am. And then if you get enough support for a long enough time, you can make these permanent behavior changes that helps you stop allowing men to string you along. And so my program starts on Monday. I am doing a call to action right now for those of you who have not booked a call with me to talk to me about it. I want to just offer you this opportunity now. My calendar is already full, but I'll make room for you if you're very interested. The program is for women who, have been successful in their life, but just haven't got this piece of love figured out. It's for women who are coachable, who recognize having support is a way to grow. I mean, the most successful people in the world did not get there by themselves. I have a coach. I've always had a coach for the last 10 years, and that's why I'm so successful. I have support. I'm not doing this on my own. I get support and I give support. And then you get support and you can give support. That's how it works. So if you value investing in yourself, you love personal growth, you want to be in a relationship this year, you want to stop this replicating unconsciously these unconscious patterns that are keeping you stuck and discouraged, then the program is for you. Who it's not for is, honestly, and I say this with love, it's not for women who feel like everything just happens to them. That's the victim mode, and I don't work with women in that mentality, because that's just me pulling you along, and I just don't want to pull you along. I want you to be like, I'm all in, because I'm all in. I'm 100% committed to the women in my program, and I'm not going to convince somebody that they need to do something. So you can't be in victim mode. You have to be at least willing to recognize that I am in victim mode, that I need help being pulled out of it, and I want to get out of it. So if you're there, if you got one foot out and you want to get out of it, then I can help you. And who it's not for, obviously, is women that don't see the value in investing in their personal growth, don't have the money to invest in their personal growth, and because I'm offering so much free advice. I mean, on my YouTube channel, ladies, I'm going to keep making amazing videos for you. I'm going to keep teaching and training. I don't know how long that'll go on, but as long as I'm passionate about it, I'll do it, about helping you. And I'm feeling very fulfilled in my life by doing this, because I know I'm empowering women. And I love doing that. And I love seeing women getting engaged and happy and going on to make families, especially in their 40s, or getting engaged, getting married, and having babies in their 40s. I love being a part of that. And so I'm going to post the link below in the box where you can fill out a 5-question application that really just gives me an insight on what you've been through, what your challenges are. So when we talk, I'm ready to help you and support you. At least you'll come away with something solid that you can use that's applicable to you and where you're at. And let me see if there's any more questions here that I can answer. I'm going to answer one last question. Okay. How long is a reasonable delay in a reply from a guy to a text if you have been on a date or two? At what length of time should we next them? So I think that women sometimes next men too soon because we take things so personally, because we're sensitive, especially when we've been single for a long time. We're really sensitive. We're like next, 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 next. And that's an avoidance. Like, I don't want to get rejected, so I'm going to next you. But that's just an avoidance pattern because you don't have the skill set to stay in the game. So how long is a reasonable delay in a reply from a guy to a text if you have been on a date or two? Well, reasonable is, 24 hours. I would say is reasonable. That's reasonable. I mean, he doesn't have to get right back to you. You're not his girlfriend. He doesn't owe you an answer. But just keep this in mind. It does tell you a lot about him when he doesn't answer you right away. And you actually need that information. So in the beginning, you're actually gathering information. You've got your little basket and you're putting information in. Like you're picking berries, a little information. Okay, he doesn't text right away. Okay, he takes 2 days to respond. You're gathering all of this information. So you want to see what he's going to do. You're welcoming it so that you can make a good choice for yourself on what to do. So if he isn't responding to you right away, that's like duly noted. And then, so yeah, what's a reasonable time? At 48, 2 days. I mean, I think up to 2 days. If you don't hear from him after 3 days, then he's got other things going. He's seeing other women. He's juggling, and you're not at the top of the list. And so you have to take that into consideration. Is he a next? Not necessarily. You're dating as well, right? So go out with another guy. And then he circles back around. You're like, hey, stranger, how you been? Don't be bitter. Be like, hey, what's up? Long time no hear from. What's going on? Want to get together? See if you want to keep it going. So come from that place. And after, a little bit of that, and then you'll really see what he's about. He may think, wow, I was seeing somebody else, but I like you better. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's a process of elimination. So don't next men too fast. Be a little more playful, a little more flexible. The feminine energy is really about flexibility, it's like water. We're like water. We kind of go downstream and around rocks and may flow where we're guided to the path of least resistance. However, there's boundaries in that. If you don't hear from a guy and he completely ghosts you and he reaches out to you, I wouldn't bother responding to him. I mean, let's give him a taste of his own medicine. Doesn't feel good, does it? Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm busy. I'm busy with my next guy. So wait a couple days and date other men so that the one that's most interested pulls out ahead. And the one that's most interested may not be the best looking guy, but I'd say he's the one that's most interested. And I would look very carefully at him because there's something to say about timing in life. Everything is timing. So maybe the best looking guy at the time isn't right. Just let him go, because then the guy that comes along that is ready and is right for you, maybe he's not as good looking, but boy, will he show up for you, treat you right, and make you his queen. And I say that's the man. That's the man you want to marry, the man that's going to put you on a pedestal and keep you there. Okay, ladies? All right. I hope this has been helpful. Oh, Susie, you have a question. Do you think about a future before there is a present? Do you think about a future before there's a present? That helps me ground myself when I catch myself making that mistake. I like that. Hi, Holly. I think that's fabulous. Do you think about a future before there's a present? So I love that. Yeah, don't think in terms of future tense. You think about that when when you're setting your intentions. That's what you want. You're clear on that. And so you don't need to think about that. That's over here. Anything that takes you over here or over here is taking you out of the present. So until a man demonstrates all of these things to you, you stay right there in the moment and don't fall for that. That's again stringing you along. And your mind will string you along with thoughts about the future and the past too. So you have to be careful of the own mind traps your mind plays on you, this magical thinking, pretending that things are different from how they really are, staying in present to what's really happening instead of getting into that magical, mystical thinking that he's going to come up on a horse and rescue you. You don't want to be rescued by a man, and men don't want to rescue you. They want a partner. Doesn't mean they're not going to help you out. Men love to help women out, but you don't need to be rescued. You're not a damsel in distress. So I hope this was helpful. I'm so glad you're here, Holly. You can listen to the replay. It'll be right here on this page, ladies. You just go to videos on the left side of the Facebook page and hit any of the videos, and you can just replay them. All the videos that I've ever made are right here on Facebook. So I do send them out in a replay, but you can always just go to Facebook and access them. Then I do upload them to YouTube. So make sure you like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. And if you're resonating with the work, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. I would love that, because that inspires me to keep going. When I see those little compliments, they mean the world to me. They do, because I put a lot of effort and energy into dressing up for you ladies, and I do. I get dressed up for you. You know how they say women dress up for each other? Well, I do that. I get all dolled up because I know that I want to set an example on how you want to be with men, but also it's fun. That's what we women do. That's why I love women. And so don't forget about what I said about the Engaged at Any Age program starting on Monday. Do not miss out. This is your opportunity to finally, for once and for all, put your dating life behind you and get into a serious relationship that leads to a commitment, so that you can settle down and live happily ever after, because it's really wonderful. There's nothing better than having a man in your life who loves and adores you, and that's what I want for all of you, because life really starts. You know, life isn't all about having a man in your life, but it sure is nicer with one in it. Okay, so yeah, we're fine without a man, but we sure want one, and it sure makes life more colorful, more exciting, and more interesting, and definitely more fulfilling. Okay, ladies, I am so grateful you're here. Thank you for always showing up here. Just sending you lots of love. Bye.